Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zekko Football Channel. In one of the most anticipated fixtures of the weekend, Newcastle take on Liverpool. And today we're breaking down and previewing that very match. If you are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video and turn on those notifications. But without further ado, let's talk Newcastle against Liverpool. This is the Newcastle team that I have fielded for the game against Liverpool. Now, it is actually the same 11 that they fielded against Manchester City. It's in their 4-3-3 formation. I actually thought Newcastle did okay in the game against City. They were outplayed to a certain extent, but I thought they showed enough heart, determination and fight to really warrant another start. Dan Burn, Botman, Schär and Trippier make up the back four ahead of Nick Pope. Bruno Guimaraes is going to be trying to control the strings at St James's Park, and he's going to be playing into the likes of Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali, who had a fantastic game against Aston Villa in their first outing. Almiron and Gordon are on the flanks. I think there's a case for Harvey Barnes to come in instead of Gordon, but I also believe that later on in the game Harvey Barnes' pace will be utilised down the flanks to try and take advantage of the space that Trent Alexander-Arnold leaves, but that's for later. Alexander Isak will be the main man going forwards. I think Eddie Howe is going to start to transition to Isak being the main out-and-out forward and then having Callum Wilson come off the bench as something of a super sub. There will be games where Wilson starts, don't get me wrong, but I think Isak is really starting to find his form, and his link-up play with the likes of Tonali and Joe Linton is absolutely superb. The attack going forwards, I think, will have a lot more space due to Liverpool's defensive frailties, and if they can take advantage of that at St James's Park with the work rate from Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, it should be a good day for Newcastle. This is the Liverpool team that I think will be playing against Newcastle when the game kicks off. We have them in their 4-3-3 setup. As you can see, we have Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate and Trent Alexander-Arnold in front of their main goalkeeper Alisson, and there is a change in this lineup from Liverpool's past two games. Endo comes into the side, and this is down to the attacking prowess and the physicality and the effort that Newcastle put into their games. I believe that with Liverpool's defensive frailties, with the lack of a central defensive midfielder, if they didn't have Endo in the side, I think they would be carved open a little bit too much, and that means generally I think they need someone to come in and fill those gaps, just put a stop to some of the attacking pressure that Newcastle will build. Szoboszlai is not necessarily defensively minded, and neither is Cody Gakpo, and that's who I've got as my two centre attacking midfielders. Szoboszlai on the left, Gakpo on the right, and that's down to the lack of Alexis McAllister, who has obviously received his red card and is serving his suspension. Gakpo we've seen drop into this position before, especially in pre-season. I think that he's got a little bit more to add to his game rather than just being a central striker or a forward. He links the play very well, and he actually drops into these half spaces extremely well, being able to link between the central defensive midfielder and Mo Salah. Generally, Diaz on this left-hand side is going to be quite the nuisance. Watch for his infield runs past some of the centre-backs, past the full-backs, and then, of course, you've got Diogo Jota getting himself into the box to try and convert those chances that are created. Mo Salah doing Mo Salah things. This is the Liverpool lineup, and I think it's probably the strongest lineup that they can field right now. Here we have both sides lined up on the pitch, and the first thing I want to do is talk about potential matchups that we might see going forwards. From a Newcastle point of view, I think that Joe Linton and Tonali are going to be their main players going forwards. We're going to be looking for those direct runs into the box, following from a bit of wide play, and I do think that dragging some players away is going to be absolutely crucial to be able to gain the space and momentum that Newcastle need to really make something happen. For this reason, I think that the look of Anthony Gordon onto Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to be something that Newcastle really look to exploit. The run from Joe Linton in behind Alexander-Arnold in front of Konate, I think is going to be absolutely crucial. And then you have the talk about Alexander Isak and whether you can get the better of both Virgil van Dijk and Konate. Endo is going to be trying to follow those runs at certain points, especially when Liverpool start to play that little bit of a higher line. But Tonali, I think, is going to be the main player going forwards. His runs into the box, I think, are going to be extremely crucial in making sure that Newcastle can get that little bit of potency, that little bit of edge to try and give them the distance and give them that little bit more to try and get a goal. Almiron is going to be important against Robinson, yes, but I do feel like most of it is going to be happening on this this left-hand side for Newcastle, the right-hand side for Liverpool. Bruno Guimaraes is going to be absolutely crucial in making sure that the play gets recycled on numerous occasions. Tonali will help with this, but also the pace of the passing and the placement of it is going to be crucial from Guimaraes to make sure that Newcastle are able to go forwards on that front foot. As for Liverpool going forwards back the other way, I think you can't look any further than Dominic Szoboszlai. He had a fantastic game against Bournemouth, and generally he is the X factor at the moment when you think about the way that Liverpool go forwards. He can drift into these pockets of space right here, and generally that's where you're going to be finding him in the match, I believe. His link-up play with Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota is going to be something that needs to be worked on. However, his shots from distance are something that I think Liverpool could really utilise going into this game. Newcastle are going to be dropping back quite a bit, and that's going to afford some space for Szoboszlai if he ever gets the inclination to take a shot. Endo is obviously going to be one of the players that people look at, especially if, as I predict, he starts the game. His reading of the game is going to be absolutely important, and the pace of the match, which is going to be dictated by Newcastle, I feel, is going to have a massive impact on the way that he plays and the way that he forces himself to try and adapt to this game. Salah is always going to be one of the main contenders going forwards, but I do believe that he will play something of a more silent role. I think he'll try and cheat against Dan Burn and try to make sure that he can get the best of him in that instance. From that point on, it's going to be the switch of play that's going to be absolutely crucial to be able to get Salah in behind this Newcastle back line after they start to attack. And then that brings us over to the way that both teams go forwards. Let's start with Newcastle. Here we have this Newcastle setup, and as you can see, I've got them penned into the Liverpool half. Now, this isn't necessarily how the game is going to plan out for the entirety. However, if you remember what I spoke about, Anthony Gordon and Trent Alexander-Arnold being that main duel, if Gordon can get the better of that, it's a massive win for Newcastle, and it automatically opens up so many different avenues. Gordon can then beat Alexander-Arnold and go towards the byline, or he can cut inside, recycle possession and wait for a run from Joe Linton to go into the box. At the same time, if he plays the cross into the area where I'm sure Alexander Isak will be waiting, Tonali will be looking to make that run into the box as well. The late third man runs is going to be absolutely crucial to both pen Liverpool back into the box, but also to make sure that they have the ability to really score from those chances that they create. Almiron will be out on this right hand side, and I do think that he will have a big part to play. The overlap from Trippier when needed to allow Almiron to go inside is another thing that's going to be very, very key. The physical battle from a Newcastle point of view, I think, is an interesting one to look at. I think you could argue that Joe Linton wins the physical battle against Hakpo. I think you could argue that Tonali could get the better of Szoboszlai if Szoboszlai is not on his defensive game. And then that brings you to Isak onto Endo. If Endo is not on it, and if he's not perfectly ready, I think Liverpool do need to take a gamble on him playing. However, if he's not perfectly ready, I think Isak could definitely win that duel. As for a Liverpool point of view, I think you're going to be seeing something a little bit different from them. I think they're going to understand the pace and the physicality that Newcastle are going to bring to this game, especially being at St James's Park. The home advantage has never been stronger for a side like Newcastle, and really going back the other way, I think Liverpool could use this to their advantage. When Newcastle are spurred on by their home support, I do believe that the likes of Dan Burn and Trippier might go forward just that little bit more to create and maintain that pressure. It's going to be crucial that Eddie Howe pins them back to try and make sure that they do keep a foothold on this game. And it's what I mentioned previously about Mo Salah cheating on Dan Burn. Diaz doing exactly the same thing on this side. And then you've got Diogo Jota in and around the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, Botman and Cher. And it's going to be the counter-attack that I think is going to be absolutely crucial. Trent Alexander-Arnold coming into midfield is going to be trying to look for those passes over the top. And then I think you're going to see the late runners from Hakpo, Szoboszlai and the likes of Luis Diaz. The pace in this Liverpool attack is absolutely frightening. But that's not the only way that they go forwards. Here we have Liverpool in a more attacking and offensive frame of mind. We have them in a back three, Trent Alexander-Arnold coming into midfield and Endo moving across. This gives them that double pivot that we know a lot of them like. It also gives them the box in midfield that everyone looks towards nowadays. Szoboszlai will be able to move into the centre of the pitch because of the runs that are being drawn away from Luis Diaz, from the likes of Diogo Jota, and that gives him that little bit more space for those shots from outside the box, like I mentioned previously. Cody Gakpo is going to have a very interesting role, especially if he plays in midfield. I think that his dynamism in certain areas and his ability to draw players in and link play with Salah is going to be absolutely crucial. Let's not forget about the major Egyptian either. His ability to try and beat Dan Burn, I think, is going to be the major jewel that Liverpool are going to need to look towards. His physicality and his ability to really beat a man is something that is crucial. But we've also seen his link-up play be superb as well. His game against Chelsea and his pass against Chelsea for the first goal, or for the only goal that Liverpool scored in that game, was absolutely sublime. That showed vision, composure and control. And if he can play a couple of those into the box to allow Diogo Jota to run onto, I think it's going to be a good day for Liverpool. Overall, I think that Newcastle are going to really give everything to Liverpool. They're going to dictate the pace of the game. They're going to dictate the way that the game is going to play out, and it's going to be on Liverpool to try and stand up. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Endo, if he does end up playing, is going to be the major thing that I think could sway this game. If Liverpool are able to get the better of the forward high Newcastle press, I think that really Trent will be able to find the passes more often than not, and it should be a fairly high scoring game. But my question to you is, how do you believe this is going to play out, and what do you think will be the final score? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, take care.